Welcome to an SFB Addict video.
So how do you use the Starfleet Battles Cadet module to do play by electronic mail? Well, it all comes down to using the log file function. Now, there's two ways of doing this. The first, you start a log file, perform your actions, save it, send it to your opponent. They then play back that log file, they see your steps, and then they start a log file, do their steps, save it, and send it to you. So basically what happens is, what you see, or what your opponent sees, is just what's recorded on that log file. So let's say this was Impulse 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then this was 5, and 6, and 7. Well, when you get the file back, you only see, when your opponent gets your actions, which was E, F, and G, when they get it, what they see would just be 5, 6, and 7, the E, F, and G. They don't get a refresher on their 1, 2, 3, and 4 section. The other way of doing this is to start the log file. Your opponent does their A, B, C, and D actions. They then send you the file. You open it, but you immediately start a new log file as you're playing back the actions. So you see their action for A, and if you do a new action, it's recorded. Then you hit the button for next step, you see their action, and then again you see their action, and then if you do an action, it gets recorded. And as you do new steps, those get recorded. Then you save the file, you send it to your opponent, and when your opponent plays it, they get everything from the very beginning. So they get to review what happened on 1, 2, 3, and 4, and they get to see your reactions to those steps. Now, normally in most play-by-electronic mail setups, both parties give a set of orders that says move this direction until range of whatever is reached, or go in this direction until this hex is achieved, and then at that point do this action. And then they do a bunch of conditional orders. Well, with this log file function, you can start a log file, give it a name, and then every action that you perform is played back. So if you add a counter to the map, your opponent sees that happen. If you rename a counter, they see that happen. If you move the counter, they see that happen as they play back the file, because everything you do is recorded. Now, the log file here, being able to be both played back and recorded at the same time, gives some advantages. So let me just do a couple movements here. Okay, so that would be 1, 2, 3, 4 impulses, because I've moved 4 times. So let me save that. Now, let's suppose that I am now the opponent. So we are going to load okay, so that was the log file that was saved when I clicked End Log File. And notice that the log files are different from actual game save files. Okay, so now I've loaded the log file, and this button is now available. And every time I click this, it plays back one of those recorded actions. and it prompts you if you want to start a new log file. So we're going to say no, but what we're also going to do here is we are going to load that log file again. Now you notice I didn't exit the room and I loaded the log file. So as soon as I hit it, I'm actually getting a double view of what's happening. So that can be confusing, so you don't want to do that. So what you do is you will close your game, then you can load your log file, and this way you get a fresh map. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start a new log file. I'm just going to call it 2, and as I step through it, I can see all those actions, but I can also do this. I can respond to those actions. And as I play back the log, I can now interact with it. And when I end the log file, let me close the game. And the log file gets sent back to the opponent, kind of thing. Now when they play it, they get to see what they originally did, but now they get to also see what I did in response as I did it. So if we were calling out impulses, and as I reacted to each impulse, it gets recorded in until we get to the end of the log file. Now the trick, of course, is to always begin that log file before playing it back. So if you wish to use this secondary second column method, you have to immediately start a new log file every time you open up the old log file. And this way you get to play back the original actions and respond to those actions. Whereas if you simply just play back the log file without starting a new log file, you only get to see what happens, you don't get to respond to it. So this is completely or entirely different from the old way of doing play-by electronic mail, where you set up conditional orders, send them to a moderator, and the moderator interprets those orders, does actions, then sends you the result. This way, you get to do maybe segments of 4 impulses. Send that log file to your opponent, they open it, start a new log file, play back your actions, and respond to those actions. And you can do various different things here. For instance, you could alternate who goes first, kind of thing. So player A does the original 4 impulses, saves it, sends it to player B. Player B opens it, starts a log file, plays it, and responds to it. And then once he reaches the end of the original playback, they then proceed for the next set of 4, save it, send it back to player A. Player A gets to play it back and record and see those actions in the first segment, and then they get to see the new actions and respond to them. So you can alternate back and forth doing it that way, or you could do it one impulse at a time, kind of thing. do one impulse, record your action, send it back to see if your opponent had a reaction kind of thing. Or if you want to use a moderator, the moderator could call through those 4 impulses, or a single impulse through the sequence of play, send it to both players, and both players send it back, and he can step through and see what happens on both, kind of thing. So there's multiple ways of doing it here. Now, whatever way you prefer to do it is up to you, but it is an additional tool that you can use to try and facilitate play by electronic mail, but in this case it's using the vassal module to input your actions, using the log file, save it, and send the file back and forth, either through mail, Facebook, Dropbox, whatever. So, have fun playing Starfleet Battles.